In some ways, I can understand why conspiracy theories would have a certain appeal. Because if you look at modern American history, I mean, there have been incidents that seem very far-fetched, which turned out to be very, very true. You had stuff like the Gulf of Tonkin. You had stuff like COINTELPRO. You even had things like the business plot, which are all things that sound like they were, invented by some crackpot theorists, but they're actually kind of true. So, with that in mind, I can at least understand why there would be people out there that would at least entertain the idea that, the Sandy Hook shooting, that horrible tragedy, was staged or was a false flag operation conducted by the government. I made a video earlier kind of airing my thoughts on that and kind of giving you an overview of what they think about, so I can regurgitate that information. But what I do want to talk about is I've seen some videos on YouTube, I've read some stuff on the blogs, and I've come across several criticisms or what they consider to be evidence to support their claims that Sandy Hook was a false flag operation or a conspiracy or things of that nature. And I think just about everything I've heard so far can be easily refuted. And I'm just going to do like a brief overview. So if your time is a premium, I'll try to get this as fast as I can. One of the most popular things you've probably heard about, or one of the most popular assertions made by these conspiracy theorist people, is that a girl that was murdered during the shooting named Emily Parker is actually alive. Not only is she alive, she ended up attending a press conference with Obama, wearing the same dress she allegedly wore during the school shooting, or a family portrait before the school shooting. Like I said, this gets really convoluted. Well, anyway, this was a big, contention point for the conspiracy theorists. Like, well, clearly this proved, she's still alive, that this entire thing was a false flag operation, that she wasn't really killed. She just, her death was fabricated, because they saw someone who appeared to be her show up at the press conference. As it turns out, the person who was at that press conference was actually the student that was murdered. It was her younger sister. And, sometimes people that are related kind of look alike. So anyway, this was a major point of evidence for these people. Something like that. They mistook a sister to be someone who's reported as being dead. Anyway, that's probably their top tier evidence they have. That's the kind of thing you're dealing with. People that will look at something so incredibly simplistic and apparent and try to turn it into a gigantic ruse. It gets worse. What's another one that I came across? There's a conspiracy theory out there that there are people that appeared in photographs and video footage from Aurora, Colorado in the shooting earlier this summer, and people from Sandy Hook saying that they are the same people. Because they have the same color hair and they're roughly the same height. Well, anyway, that's another piece of evidence that people that roughly look similar in stature and have the same eye color are the same people. That's another argument you're having to work with. This is what they consider to be evidence that Sandy Hook was a false flag operation. Not documents, not video recordings, not official unedited footage, not leaked documents. That. Basic, misled, empirical images. Lots of other things. You hear lots of conspiracies about multiple shooters. There's a guy in the woods. Actually has a name. It was Chris Manfredano, who was the father of a student who went to school who's trying to find his daughter. There's another guy who was actually apparently an off-duty policeman who ran into the scene. And there was another guy who was just passing by, just there to see what was going on. They're not shooters, they were just witnesses. And they're saying that these people were part of the shooting when they weren't, even remotely. They were just people walking by the area. There's a guy named Gene Rosen. I'm sorry if I don't know the exact pronunciation. Well, anyway, he's pretty much had his life turned into a living hell by a bunch of conspiracy theorists that say he's lying when he took in people, some children that fled from the incident, and kind of sheltered them away while this horrible stuff was going on. So you got these conspiracy theorists saying that he was a member of the Screen Actors Guild and that he was an actor. And actually, that's what they said. They said he's a member of the Screen Actors Guild, when it turns out it's just another guy named Gene Rawson. So once again, that's their evidence, this horribly misled information, which is actually anti-information. Let's see what else. Oh, here's one. It's saying that Google images captured at the time of the shooting displayed there were no children running through the woods. Not that Google Earth is a totally infallible software code, that it's not real time, but it's not completely accurate, and then there is massive time loops in between recording images. Not that would ever occur. Let's see, what's another one? Oh, why weren't the parents mourning? Okay, let me explain something to you. There's this thing called human nature. I'm going to tell you a little personal story. Last fall, my mother died. It was a very tragic time. I was not really happy to be there. So I'm there at the funeral home, and I'm there with my friends and my family, and my mother's in a casket there, and of course I'm destroyed. I'm broken. It's a horrible thing that happened. But I'm with my friends, I'm with my family, I'm being supported, I'm with other people. I'm trying to put on the happiest face I can for others so they would kind of soften the blow. I'm trying to go out there and get information to people. Did I crack a smile every now and then? Yeah. Did I laugh a little? I did. Was I still horribly crushed when there's a dead body in the room with me? Of course I was. But that's how you cope. That's how you handle grief. Just because something horrible happens doesn't mean that you're just absolutely just miserable nonstop, that you're crying up a storm. This is the kind of thing where it's just basic fundamental truths about the human experience. But they're acting like this is some sort of cue, some sort of red herring to let us know that this shooting was completely fabricated. Like I said, this is the evidence they're giving us. These things are not even remotely actual evidence, no official sources, just all conjecture, all things that have been easily refuted by official documents. They keep pumping them out. And my favorite is, and there's a video I saw earlier which almost made me vomit, of a guy who said he had conclusive proof that Sandy Hook was a fabricated incident because there was a Facebook memorial page set up for someone who died in the shooting, but it was set up on December 10th, which was 4 days before the Sandy Hook shooting. Not that you can easily go into Facebook and change your birth date. So if you're 20 right now, you can go back and change your birthday to 1934. Nothing's stopping you. There are these things called technical glitches. They happen all the time. In fact, there is a picture I saw on TwitPic of a Fox News report about Sandy Hook that was dated October 1st, 1983. That's called technology. It happens. You go on Blogger, you'll publish a report. Let's say you're on the East Coast, but the time you have set on your Blogger account is perhaps 8 hours ahead. So you may publish something on December 12th and it doesn't show up until December 13th, or you may put something on December 12th and it shows up December 11th. Or maybe you can have to go a really skewed system where it's publishing things days or even weeks earlier. That happens all the time. And there's also this thing called HTML, which you can easily edit. And there's also the fact that, hey, you never know, that image we saw, this Facebook profile page, which was deleted immediately afterwards, supposedly, we don't even know if it actually existed. We don't have an HTML. We don't have the URL. We don't have proof that this ever actually existed. It's non-evidence. It could be Photoshop for all we know. In fact, that's a much more reasonable assertion, is the fact that it's not actually evidence. And who knows, maybe there are people that have multiple names that died before or around that date. Not that simple explanations like this, can be suitable evidence against your claims. So anyway, I know I'm a curious guy. Whenever I hear arguments about this, I kind of flock to them. I want to investigate them because I'm always worried I might actually get some hard-hitting evidence But if you're looking for solid, tangible proof that seems even remotely realistic regarding the Sandy Hook fabrication claims, you're not going to find them. That's the kind of stuff you're dealing with. Well, people kind of look alike. They're wearing the same dress. Sisters look alike. Google glitches don't happen. That's it. That's their evidence. So there you go. I'm saved you a lot of time. Don't click on it. Don't feed the trolls. Go on with your life. And if you actually are a Sandy Hook conspiracy theorist, and this is the scant anti-evidence you use to make such sweeping claims, let me remind you of a quote that was popularized by Mr. Carl Sagan. Extraordinary claims demand extraordinary proof. And I'm sorry, but Photoshop Facebook pictures doesn't cut it.